Hello, this is CNN, and we are live in Zagreb, Croatia. And wow, the Japanese embassy is under siege right now.
Don't worry, this isn't the movie Argo.
This is not 24, and I am not Jack Bauer. But the Croatians have a lot to be mad about, considering Yuichi Nishimura's reffing today. And wow, Corey, what a game.
What a game. This is Corey here with Roy, the first part of our extensive World Cup podcast. And Brazil takes the first game of the World Cup in front of the home nation with all the pressure. 2 goals from Neymar, a goal from Oscar. They beat Croatia 3-1.
A goal from Marcelo, too.
A goal from Marcelo.
Get him on the stat sheet.
In the own goal. The first ever by a Brazilian, actually, own goal. But Brazil takes the game 3-1. Seems convincing, but it certainly was not
If you didn't watch the game, you think 3-1 it looks like a good result. But watching the whole game, Brazil was not looking like the team that people thought they were going to be. And I think the caster said it best from ESPN that truly, if Brazil wasn't in their home country, I don't think they'd be the favorites, Corey. I just did not see anything special from them.
Yeah, I mean, that may be a little bit much to say so early. I know they didn't play their best against Croatia. And you would think that they would have came out strong because they had history on their side. If we look at teams who were hosting the World Cup, they've never lost a game. 14 wins, 6 ties in 19 World Cups. You got the 20th game because South Korea and Japan co-hosted in 2002.
Not if Qatar's playing. That's all I'm saying, Corey.
And then also Brazil, 15 wins, 2 ties, and 2 losses in their opening game. They hadn't lost in 80 years, but it looked scary early when Marcelo had that own goal. Croatia goes up 1-0 early, and it looked very strong for Croatia coming out.
Yeah, Croatia played great off the gate, and yes, I was a little hard on Brazil, but to be quite honest, I'm still not over Yuichi Nishimura's call on the penalty kick, but we'll get into that controversy a little later. But, I mean, it was an own goal by Marcelo, but that's not to take away the play that Croatia had to get it. I mean, it was great play all around, and then I believe Olik with the cross, right?
Olik put the ball in. Jelavic missed it.
Yeah, actually tipped it right into Marcelo's leg. It looked like a great pass by Jelavic. But it was still a great play by Croatia. It wasn't just like a cheap little own goal.
No, you can say it was much deserved.
Yeah.
37th all-time own goal in World Cup history. And the thing about that play is Dani Alves is up playing like a center forward role.
Oh.
He thinks he's Rivaldo or Ronaldo. He's up playing center forward, leaves space in behind. Paulinho then goes to try and get Rakitic. He plays it out to Olik. Ball goes in. And you must say, it was a well-deserved from Croatia. You really had to like their start. They were aggressive. They didn't sit back. And what do you think about that tactical decision to not sit back on Brazil, a team that had so much favoritism amongst the fans and the pundits? What do you think of that by the Croatian manager?
I like what they were doing. They were letting David Luiz and Thiago Silva and Luis Gustavo have their kind of passing in the 50. Once it got inside about 10 more yards or so, that's where they did not let him get down the middle. They gave Neymar for the first at least 20, 15 minutes. Really, Neymar was out of the game, not really important. And the big plays were from Modric and Rakitic, who played great. I mean, exceptional, especially Rakitic. A little less known, obviously, than Luka.
Going to Barcelona.
You'll see him in a couple. And he plays right into their style. But that's what he was doing. He was really, once they got it past the first attack of the forwards, once they got it by Dani Alves, I mean, that was a great pass by Rakitic to get it to Olic, and it just showed.
And I mean, no matter what you say, although Croatia's a very good team, not to take anything away from them, and that goal was probably well done by them to swing the ball in by Olic. You have to say it's a shock to see Brazil go down 1-0 so early in the game with all the emotion.
And you could see it was on Marcelo's face. Marcelo was like,
he was shocked. Brazil had not lost a competitive game at home since 1975 when they lost the first leg of the Copa America semifinals to Peru. So when they went down 1-0 in Sao Paulo, the stadium was quiet. But you could hear a pin drop. It was unbelievable.
But let's face it, once the ball was kicked off against Sao Paulo, erupted. Corey, I could barely hear the casters out there. It was crazy.
And so that goal was huge for Croatia. They came out with that offensive style. It was huge for them to get that early goal. Because then you thought that maybe if they kept the ball a little bit, that they could have a nice job in the game. The problem that they had is they had some trouble keeping the ball.
Yeah, no, they definitely had trouble. When they were in the attacking third, that's when their best possession was, and that's a little unusual. They had trouble keeping in the back with Brazil's high pressure. Once they got it past that initial line of defense, the forwards obviously from Brazil, then it was pretty easy possession. They just were never able to get the ball there. And me and Corey were talking about the beginning of the game with lineups. And Corey, even being a Chelsea fan, didn't really understand why Oscar was in the game. But Oscar, Corey, the man of the match for Brazil, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he well-deserved goal at the end.
Oscar, I thought that Willian and Ramirez, both guys from Chelsea, had better seasons than Oscar and Fernandinho. You can even argue maybe he's more of a guy who's like stealing the midfield for Paulinho.
Yeah.
But Oscar, you have to say, he was unbelievable. In the 14th minute, he had that great in-swinger, went over Fred's head.
So many.
Neymar almost got on the end of it. And Oscar, for me, was the man of the match. He was unbelievable all game. On the controversial call, which we'll get to in a little, that ball was played in by Oscar. And then the goal in the 91st minute when they're up 2-1, unbelievable. Yeah. Goes by Corluca, who had a yellow card, didn't want to foul, and Tope hooks it in, surprises the goalie. That was just such a beautiful
And then another
ball.
play was the cross in to actually, it should have been to Neymar, but David Luiz, crazy David Luiz has to go for the crazy diving header. Neymar would have had an easy goal there, but still, it's just all around great play from Oscar, the Chelsea man, who hasn't had that great of a season at Chelsea, but really showing what he can do for the Brazilian side.
So to set up the game with you, despite the fact that Croatia was playing without Mario Mandzukic, a guy who's so important to their team, 1 match suspension.
And their center back. Has a 10-game suspension. Why do soccer players always got to be chanting fascist and racist stuff?
Yeah,
I don't get it. It's not that hard. Just don't do it.
That also hurt Croatia. So they didn't have Mandzukic, who started Croatia's last 6 competitive matches and who scored the goal to help Croatia get into the World Cup in their 2-0 playoff win against Iceland. Mm-hmm. But they score first, and then the big goal, kind of the game changer, came when Neymar didn't hit the shot great in the 28th minute, and it squeaked in.
I mean, at first, I didn't know if Pleticosa should have gotten it. That's Croatia's goalkeeper who had a wowzer.
Did not have a good game, to say the least.
I was sarcastic, by the way, if you couldn't tell from my tone. But Pleticosa, it was just it was clearly
He did not mean that. I'm sure Neymar was thinking he's going upper 90. He scuffs the shot.
Yeah. But if you ask Neymar's telling you, oh, he meant that. He meant to hit a little low and place in the corner, but it was a perfect shot. Very unlucky. It was slow reaction.
The ball was moving so slow.
I was just waiting for the goalie to pick it up, but it just nailed the inside of the post. Very lucky.
And goes in.
No. And they were lucky, Croatia, to escape the first half at a 1-1. I thought if Brazil scored at the end of the half, all momentum would have been Brazil, but they kept it equal. And in the second half...
Yeah, but, one thing I would say on that goal is... you could criticize Croatia for giving Neymar that much room, but if you watch the whole build-up play, the ball was rolling around. It went off Oscar's feet. It goes off both Croatian midfielders. I think that the only argument you can make is maybe the center defender for Croatia sort of stepped up. Instead, he laid back, and the ball went through his legs and into the net. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could give a defense to the goalie saying he didn't see it late. But the ball is rolling so slowly, I think if he makes a step up and dives a second later, I think he should stop that Neymar ball because it's rolling so slowly.
Dive forward to cut the angle and get the ball.
Exactly.
But it's still, it was a pretty long shot. You obviously don't want to give Neymar anything, but you don't want to, if you're going to give him a shot, you give him lefty outside by 25 yards. But a great shot by Neymar. And then kind of an anticlimactic second half. It didn't seem like Brazil really cared or anything.
It was very slow to start the second half, as you said. And then we got the penalty decision in the 68th minute. And surprising, Brazil really had very little before that moment.
And Croatia was actually keeping the ball. That was when
Modric was playing very well.
Yeah, Modric was really dominating. That was the only time where really Croatia had more possession than them. It ended about 60-40, I'm pretty sure.
In terms of Brazil, but still, I think that's more of after Croatia scored that goal, they were unable to keep the ball, and that's why it results in the Neymar goal. But going in 1-1 at halftime, you think that's fine. It's 65 minutes in, 1-1, and then the decision to give the penalty.
It was a terrible. You just can't call that. You can't have your whistle on the box like that. Fred flops. It was the easiest call to make. It was a clear no call. Lovren barely touched
His hand was on Fred, but Fred, once he felt it, he goes right down. Rory was furious. He could not believe it.
I'm not going to lie. I was completely yelling at the ref. I thought he was blind, deaf, or he just... the refs in these games are terrible. I know it's tough. I'll give him credit. It's very tough. It's very tough to ref, but you just can't make that decision. He was whistle-heavy the whole game, and it showed when he clearly called it. And then he made another terrible decision, 2-1, where I believe it was Olic, who's not a tall forward, jumped up and did not hit Julio Cesar.
Another questionable decision.
They ended up scoring on it.
That was the 82nd minute. The game's still 2-1. Olic goes up for the header with Cesar, wins it. It goes out. Croatia eventually scores.
And
Perisic puts it in,
yeah.
but it was a foul on Olic on.
And also, I saw a bunch of people on Twitter commenting, "Oh, Brazil heard the call and they weren't playing." No, if you were watching the game, you clearly saw Brazil trying to get that ball out until it went in the net, and they looked at the ref and heard it went.
So Croatia, very tough result there. Let's just go back to the penalty very quickly. It's a game-changing decision by the referee because obviously it's 1-1. Brazil gets all the momentum. You could argue Croatia was they had a good shape. They were playing well, keeping the ball.
Right into their style.
You could argue that Croatia would have maybe held on for the tie, if not get a win. The penalty was a game-changer. Yeah. You can't really blame Fred for that. He's got to go down if he feels the contact.
I know. I hate Fred. I'm just gonna put it out.
I mean, Fred had very few touches, so it is.
Oh, that was the first time. I remember we were watching and we were like, "Wow, Fred has not touched the ball." It was at least 30 or 35 minutes in before Fred got a touch on the ball.
I mean, the Japanese ref. What I was thinking was he was upset because Croatia tied Japan in the 2006 World Cup 0-0. But I mean, that's not the reason. Yes. Neymar steps up for the penalty.
And Ronaldo does the little stutter steps. And
should have learned. Stutter steps never work. Why do they never learn?
Don't do it. If you don't do it in a game, don't do it then. But Pleticosa almost saved that. He got a lot of his hand on it. I mean, I'm
both hands, I think. Here's the thing. You can never blame a goalie for not saving a penalty. But
when you're that close, you got to be thinking in your mind.
When you get two hands on it, you got to be thinking... You're right there. It was not in the corner. It was not particularly hard. Mm-hmm. Neymar did not have a great penalty there. I mean, it's hard to blame a goalie for that.
But the best line of the day was when the PK went by him after a couple seconds. Ian Dark saying that Pleticosa spends 10 days in the summer in a monastery, and I'll have a lot of time to think about that.
Rory loves Ian Dark. If you
I'm a big Ian Dark fan.
That was a great line. But Neymar, that was his second goal of the game, obviously. He's the 7th Brazilian to have 2 goals in his World Cup debut, first since 1962. Remember, because Neymar didn't make the team in 2010, there were protests about that. Written letters. Only in Brazil could you have that. And he joined Ronaldo, who did it in 2002 and 2006, and Luis Fabiano in 2010 as the only Brazilians to score 2 goals in a World Cup game in the last 4 World
only
Cups.
If he could show up for Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean... Why is that? Do you think it's because he's so much more free?
The playing style. He's so much more free. Barcelona.
They keep the ball.
They don't rely, but they don't also rely on Neymar. They rely on Messi. I mean, Brazil. They rely on Neymar. I mean, it's gonna be tough if a team can lock him down to see what they do. And
also one more thing about that point. I think that's a really good point because we have the first goal. Neymar popped up in the middle of the field. Mm-hmm. And typically, with Barcelona, we see him out only on like the left wing or the right wing. So that goal,
he's in the middle. Iniesta, you don't usually come
Exactly. So that goal, he pops up in the middle. He gets the penalty goal. He's the man in Brazil. I think he cherishes that. He's a young kid in his early 20s, and he showed his star power today. They'll need more of that, but also some help from the other parts of their teams.
Neymar played a great game. I don't want to take anything away from him because he did play great. But you gotta look, Neymar is crazy and he's kiddish and he's still a little naive. Remember the pass back to David Luiz, kicked it over his head? Croatia almost capitalized on that. You can't be doing those things. He's a little too cheeky for my like, but he's a great player, but he's got to watch himself because he can really get caught in a position like that.
So let's talk about this right now. Brazil wins 3-1. What do you think were their concerns for the game? I think I'll bring up mine that I saw. I think there was way too.
Me and then you say it yourself.
I'm just saying I'm bringing this point up because I think it's important. I think that there was way too much space behind the fullbacks. I know they have Luis Gustavo to sit in there to play in between Luis and Thiago Silva when they have the ball, but I just think Dani Alves and Marcelo get much too high up the field. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of space for Olic, Perisic to get behind the defense. A lot of space in there. To counter against Brazil.
That was definitely the biggest problem. Forward wise, I mean they played well. They had lots of different.
Hulk did not do much.
And Bernard, we saw a little bit of what Bernard can do.
Very fast,
and he's very skillful. I mean, I wouldn't mind him as a sub every game, to be quite honest, as Brazil.
Yeah, or starting over Hulk possibly. Mm-hmm, but I think they have to cure up some of those defensive woes. Mm-hmm. I think. As much as you want Dani Alves and Marcelo to get forward, because they are very special going forward. Dani Alves is not your normal right back.
Yeah.
But I just think you need a little more bit more security there, especially with David Luiz. Sometimes you never know with him.
Oh, you never
He's
know
wild.
with David Luiz.
And
He
Thiago
also
Silva's
makes-
steady.
Yeah, Thiago Silva is definitely kind of their man in the back. But the person who's really not steady was Julio Cesar. Very slow on Modric's shot during the latter part of the game in the, I believe, extra time or the 90th minute or so. Very slow to the ball that was rolling, at least bounced like 12 times. I was expecting him to pick up the ball, dives to save it. He's a little slow. He's not like he used to be.
Platacosta made him look like an angel.
Platacosta made him look like he was like God, but yeah, he definitely needs to keep his game back, get better, obviously, because with their back line already being pretty shaky, you can't have your goalie being shaky too.
So what would you do tactically? Because Gustavo is going to try and provide that protection, but he can't get out on the wings as much. He's more going to stay in the center. What would you do? Would you try and make sure that if Alves goes forward, Marcelo stays back? Maybe try only one of them get forward?
I think the problem was Paulinho and Luis Gustavo did not do a good job of one staying back and one staying forward, because as center defensive mid, they have the opportunity kind of one goes up, one holds back for the position that goes up. So if Dani Alves is streaking up, let's say Luis Gustavo's on that side so he can help support him, then Paulinho's got to drop back for him. I don't think they kind of went up together and then they went back together. So you either saw him with playing 6D with Dani Alves and with Thiago Silva and David Luiz in the back, or they were playing kind of center midfielders all the way up with Neymar.
I think the thing also that happened is Brazil looked like the pressure maybe got to them a little, and they had some uncharacteristic turnovers with the ball. And so I think sometimes they might have got caught a little high, because you usually don't expect Neymar or a guy like Luis Gustavo or Paulinho to give the ball away so easily in the middle of the field. They had some poor passes in the beginning of the game. Croatia, I think they got more comfortable as the game went on. Yeah. In the first half, they had some definite chances. If they could have kept the ball a little better, I think they maybe could have added on another goal.
Yeah, I think Croatia's a very skilled team with a lot of...
They're very good midfield.
Very good midfield. I mean, I look at Rakitic, who isn't going to Barcelona.
Rakitic
is going to fit great in Barcelona from Sevilla. He plays so well, just a great passer. Him and Modric are really the best center defensive mid.
Yeah, for parts of the game, they were much better than Brazil in the middle of the field.
Olic is crazy, but he's skillful, but he is very slow. Yeah. They give him the leeway, though, because he's very skillful on the side.
Here's the thing with Croatia. I think we both agree they got hard done by that result. That penalty call, not only could the goalie have saved it, but it never should have been a penalty in the first place.
I think Croatia should have won. Okay, maybe I'm going a little too far. I love Croatia.
Roy did have a real liking to them as the game went on. Most people did, though, because they were a tough side. They went out to win the game. Yeah. Their coach actually played Brazil in the 2006 World Cup opener. They lost 1-0. But
young guy.
Yeah, but he actually led Croatia to the quarterfinals in the 2008 Euros, only bettered when they were Yugoslavia in the 1976 Euros. And we really liked how he came out aggressive. And they'll get Mandzukic back. He'll give them a little more bite up front, and he's really good in the air.
Yeah.
But here's the question with Croatia. They let up that late goal to Oscar with the toe poke. Lovren couldn't go in to attack. Is that going to hurt them if they tie Mexico and it goes down to goal differential?
Yeah, that's the thing. In the World Cup, you got to see, you're trying to win every game. You're trying to get the best result you can. But you also got to look at goal differential. It's an important aspect of it. And right now, if you're Mexico or Cameroon, you're very happy with Brazil winning because it's kind of a race for a second. So I think it does greatly affect them. Although I think Croatia should beat Mexico and Cameroon, but nothing's guaranteed.
Mexico really struggled in qualifying. If this Croatian team plays anything like they did today, they should be fine, as long as that Japanese ref does not come and referee the Croatia-Mexico game, because he'll just taunt them.
One player...
Or maybe a goalie change. We'll have to see, because if you look, the first goal, Neymar's very slow rolling. The second, the penalty shot he could have had, possibly.
And the third goal, it was
a toe poke. But, I mean, he's got to be moving his feet.
Well, one guy to look for in Croatia, I mean, I know a lot of people are just going to overlook him. They lost to Brazil 3-1. But Ante Rebic, I mean, he's a sub. He came on around the 60th to 70th minute for Jelic. He played very well. He's fast. He's quick. Plays for Fiorentina. Hasn't had that many appearances. He's only 20, but he's a very good-looking forward, and he can get some time up there. And he was really giving David Luiz in the back prompts. He had a great cross in to Olic, I believe, in the last minute. But I think the big problem with Croatia...
He can threaten, I think, a Mexico defense with guys like Marquez, who are a little bit older in age, maybe not as quick as this Croatian team.
Yeah. And I think the one part that hurt Croatia, and you saw it a lot, was kind of the disconnect between Olic and Jelic up top, because Olic was getting most of the crosses. Him and Jelic were just not on the same wavelength. Oh,
Yep,
that's
yep.
terrible.
Same page.
Same page. There we go. Thank you, Corey. We're on the same page.
That's what I'm here
on
for.
a couple crosses. He thought he was going near post. Olic went back post. Just a little miscommunications, a little stuff that they could clear up, and I think Croatia could become second place and could really give Spain, if Spain finished first, out
of their
run
group,
for their
yeah.
money.
So that was Brazil's first win after trailing in the World Cup, actually, since the 2006 group stage when they beat Japan. They went down 1-0, went on to win that game 4-1 back in 2006. But a real good game we had here from Sao Paulo, 3-1 to Brazil. Tomorrow we have Mexico against Cameroon and Group B action as well. We have Spain going up against Netherlands in the World Cup Finals rematch. And then Chile against Australia. Very important for Chile to get 3 points.
Very.
And Spain-Netherlands, that should be a good game as well.
Mm-hmm. Lots of good games on the radar. And I mean, the World Cup has gone to a terrific start. It's been awful, the protests that have been happening, but I think Brazil fans will calm down seeing that they got the win. If they didn't win, holy crap, the World Cup might have had them paused for a little.
Exactly.
It would have been nuts there.
I mean, Scolari, we all remember him, 2002, led the team with Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho to the World Cup.
He's a yeller. I'll tell you one thing. Compared to the Croatia coach, I mean, he's crazy.
He's looking to take this Brazil team back to the glory land. I think you'll agree with me, they need a better performance than today because this was not great. Would you agree with that?
No, they definitely need a better performance. I mean, they're going to be able to sneak past their group. Their group is not that strong. But when it comes to Group B, who they're going to be playing, if the bracket works, and they're going to most likely be playing either Spain, Netherlands, or Chile. Those all are good teams. They're going to have to start picking up their performance.
Of course, I couldn't agree with that more. When we look back on this game, it's going to be a 3-1 result, and you'll say, oh, this is just like in 1950 when Brazil hosted. They beat Mexico then 4-0.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are going to be saying that, right, Corey?
They are. When you look at the score, it's 3-1. You think comfortable. It was anything but that. Yeah. We'll look back at the referee's decision, maybe some questionable goalkeeping mistakes that Croatia had.
Sepp fires him, or does anything right.
Sepp Blatter, hopefully not. But it's a Brazil 3-1 victory. Sometimes in the World Cup, you take your 3 points, you get out of there. Brazil needs to get on top of the group. They satisfied their fans today. Neymar gets 2 goals. We'll see how this World Cup continues.
A good day for Brazil.
And a bad day for the Japanese embassy. So, we'll be back continuing our World Cup coverage. This is the greatest tournament in the world. We love it. We were hanging on every moment. Unbelievable game. We can only hope the rest of the tournament is as good as that.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll have another podcast when the next couple of games go through. So thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.